So I live in a crappy apartment. When I was moving out of the dorms following my freshman year, I only had two objectives for a place that I wanted to live, and that was I wanted it to be as close to campus as possible for as little money as possible. So when my current partner, Riley, and my former roommate and I first moved in, it smelled a little bit like cigarette smoke and mold, but we were finally just glad to have a place to call our own that we could pay for ourselves. Of course, having a place like this comes with its drawbacks. There were mysterious burn holes in the carpet. The dishwasher just sort of moves the food around. Our stove takes about 2 hours to heat up, and our bathroom fan sometimes just randomly turns on after no one has touched the switch for hours. And after this summer, our first one in Springfield in the apartment, and during quarantine, we got to spend a lot of quality time with this apartment building and learn about all of its little quirks. One of the quirks was a loud metal banging that started kind of through the end of the summer from the back of the apartment. Now, we are kind of used to having people wander through here, being close to a large homeless population in Springfield, as well as having drunk college kids wander through the courtyard sometimes. So having people around making noise near the apartment is not anything unusual for us. But the metal banging was pretty consistent, happening in the middle of the afternoon and late at night, and we thought maybe our landlord had had people coming and working on the AC units, but considering it was happening around 2 in the morning a lot of the time, that probably wasn't likely. One night, my partner Riley decided he thought he knew where the noise was coming from, which was near our kitchen and our closet where the water heater sat. It's an old building, so we figured the water heater was maybe banging around with the metal, and he went to go check it out. There was a moment of silence, and then he let out the absolute loudest scream I have ever heard him give out before. Now, he's not afraid of much. Needles bother him and large, furry rodents. So when he was met face to face with a mother possum hissing at him and her 2 babies on her back, he was definitely a little freaked out. He kept yelling at me to stay in the room, keep the cat in the room, and close the door, and I wanted to know what it was, and I did not expect to have a couple of extra neighbors that have been spending the night with us. Now, this put us in a dilemma, considering animal control was not open at 2 in the morning, and we tend to avoid calling our landlord since our cat is not technically supposed to be here. We usually try to fix situations on our own if we can avoid calling them. This was a special situation. So we waited it out until animal control was open around 9 in the morning, and we spent the night with our newly found neighbors. We barricaded up the door, and the next morning, as we removed everything that we owned from the front of the closet, we opened it up and they were gone. We had to figure out how they had been getting in at night, of course, which wasn't hard to figure out considering there was a hole right in the back of the water heater with scratch marks all around it and a metal grate that they had clearly pushed out to make their new home. So we did what we could. My partner found a couple of bricks from the outside of his work. We found an old piece of a shelf, and we put the metal grate back on and stacked it all up so that hopefully they could not push their way back in. Fortunately, to this day, we have not heard the metal banging again, although sometimes when we go to sleep at night, we can hear the soft scratching of them trying to get back in. I probably can't afford a much better apartment at this point in my life, but I am glad for where I am now, for at least having fun stories to tell about it.